Good evening. I am your Master of Ceremonies this evening. My name is Sean King, and I'm proud to be one of the Assistant Athletic Directors here at Allegheny College. And I'm also the Chair of the Hall of Fame Committee. That's why you get to listen to my voice all evening. For those of you who are returning, whether it be after a day or several years, welcome back. To those of you who have never been here before, welcome. Before we begin, if you join me in thanking our General Manager, John Beers, Director of Catering, Adam Bell, and our entire staff from Gator Dining by Aramark for a wonderful dinner this evening. Thank you. And for keeping the bar open longer. I thought that would work. We would also like to extend our warmest appreciation to Lynn McManus Harlan, our Director of Conference and Event Services, Technical Director Heather Curtis, and the staff of the Allegheny Physical Plant who helped with our preparations. Tonight, there we go. Perfect. Tonight we will honor and hear from some of the best student athletes and coaches and administrators to don the blue and gold while representing Allegheny College. All conference, all region, and all America honors abound this evening, plus some of the most successful coaches the college has seen will take their place in our Hall of Fame this evening. We invite you to sit back and enjoy tonight's ceremony. To our inductees, enjoy the evening. You've earned this opportunity. At this time, I'd like to introduce Joe Musgrove, class of 1997, and Hall of Famer, class of 2007, who is president of our newly relaunched Golden Gator Club, for a brief message. He will then turn it over to Allegheny's Director of Athletics and Recreation, Bill Ross, for an official welcome.
Thank you, Sean. First of all, let me thank the Hall of Fame Selection Committee for the work that they do throughout the year to present tonight, and greatly appreciate celebrating all the rich tradition that will go into the Hall of Fame tonight. Secondly, to those who are going to the Hall of Fame tonight, your accomplishments on and off the field are inspiration to all the future athletes at Allegheny. It's an exciting time at Allegheny right now. Introduced a new logo so far this year. We went back to the PAC to compete. And also behind the scenes, there's been 7 alumni, 3 staff members, and 2 current student athletes working on rebranding what is a tradition that went back to 1980, the Golden Gator Club. Founder and Gator legend Norm Sundstrom's vision was to create an alliance between the athletic group and the alumni. Thank you, Norm. We're proud to serve you carrying this thing forward. So thank you very much, Norm. Wednesday of this week was a landmark day for us. We introduced the rebranding, and also we're working on a multi-phased approach to how we reintroduce the Golden Gator Club, but more importantly, how do we rebuild the relationships across 23 athletic sports here at Allegheny? So if you don't mind, on the back of your program, you can find the Golden Gator information or any of the brands of social media. You can find anything that you need in regards to it. We have 2 asks as a committee. We ask that you take the time to consider joining us as we embark on this journey. And also, if you have the passion for being part of a subcommittee, we do have available spots available still, that you can join us as we continue to build what we feel is a best-in-class committee. With your help, we will provide our students, athletes, and coaches the necessary resources to be competitive, and most importantly, quickly reestablish our dominance in the Presidential Athletic Conference. So please take time to consider, join the website, take a look. But more importantly, we are looking to rebuild what we have at Allegheny in terms of the Golden Gator Club. So Norm, thank you so much for all the work you put forward, and we're proud to represent you. Thank you, Sean. So next, I would like to welcome the Director of Athletics, Bill Ross, to the stage. Thank you very much, and go Gators.
Thanks, Joe. And again, he's a pretty humble guy, and you know, he's put in an awful lot of work. I had the pleasure of being introduced to his wife for the first time, and I apologize for taking up at least 2 days a week of his time in trying to get this thing back to the glory that that we've had in the past. And as we want to emphasize on the fact that it is the Golden Gator Club, and we're going to bring it back to that golden era. So thanks, Joe. And Katie Heckman, also on the steering committee, is here tonight. So, and all of her work. Okay. Well, welcome. This is definitely one of the highlights of my time in my 27 years at Allegheny College. In coming to the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. I'm a history buff, and I love to hear the stories. I love to hear all of the speeches by the inductees. That all that does is just instill a heck of a lot of pride in this institution, in me, and hopefully in all of you. So again, I hope that you can really sit back and enjoy this evening and get a lot out of this. But in keeping with our Allegheny Hall of Fame tradition, I'd like to begin by recognizing our past Hall of Fame inductees who are in attendance tonight. As I mention your name, please stand up. Let's see if we can hold on the applause so I can get through them quickly, because there's a lot of them. So once I mention your name, please stand up, and then we can applause here at the end. Inducted in 1991 from the golf team, Jim Allen. Inducted in 1999 from the baseball team, Tim Buzzowitz. Inducted in 2019 from the lacrosse team, Emily Deering Crosby. Inducted in 2018 from the track and field team, Liz Early. Inducted in 1991, basketball and softball coach, Kay Gould. Inducted in 2008 from the baseball team, Rick Grimm. Inducted in 2009, Associate Athletic Director, Maureen Hunter-Hager. Inducted in 2014 from the golf team, John Jones. Inducted in 2007 from the baseball team, our very own Joe Musgrove. Inducted in 2018, our esteemed head athletic trainer, Jamie Plunkett. And the man who began this Hall of Fame dominance, I will say, our athletic director and basketball and golf coach, inducted in 1992, Norm Sundstrom. Thank you all for attending this evening. As I prepared my opening remarks for this evening, I felt compelled to share some personal reflections regarding tonight's inductees, because so many of you I've either become to know or I've known about you, or I've been here long enough that I remember watching you out there on the field. So, Emily, you're every coach's dream. Having an athlete like you on your team, your tenacity, your wanting to be the best in everything that you do was a dream come true. But beyond that, your willingness to go above and beyond for your teammates was definitely inspiring and very appreciative. Ashley, where are you, Ashley? There you are. When you were here, you probably never realized how much of an inspiration you were to all the athletes at Allegheny College. being a two-sport athlete and being dominant in both of those sports was a huge inspiration. And you know, it was just dang exciting watching you kick butt out there. So thank you. Michelle, I know you're back there in the corner somewhere. 16-time All-American. I wish I would have been here to see that. So again, I just can't help the fact that our storied history in women's swimming, that you still hold the record in the 200 individual medley, speaks of itself on who you are as a competitor in setting such a high standard for all to follow. So thank you for doing that. Greg, you, sir, you started it all for the legendary men's golf program, the first All-American in men's golf. What you accomplished as an athlete helped to inspire a 30-year stretch of national level dominance of the men's golf program. I've heard so much about you from Coach Sundstrom over the years. It is finally an honor to meet you tonight, so thank you for everything that you've done. Christine and Ron Wiltshire, where are you two? There you are. I have the fondest memories of Coach Wiltshire. As a new coach coming into Allegheny College, I had the good fortune to learn a lot about coaching and leadership from John, as well as sharing a lot of common space. Me being the cross-country coach, him being the soccer coach, we shared an awful lot of common space over the years. And it was just so much fun being around that guy. I can't tell you how welcoming he made me feel coming into Allegheny College, and what a great partner to have, at least for the last couple of years before he retired on me. And speaking of that, he also instilled in me the dream of hitting the road in a Winnebago, right? So upon my retirement, I'm looking forward to following in his footsteps. So thank you, Christine. Rick, you're over there somewhere. I will forever be grateful for you taking a chance on hiring me. And I appreciate all of your leadership tips that you shared with me, including the same ties, right? That's one of those things that Rick taught me. It was certainly a pleasure working under you. But I've only known you as my boss. So now being the athletic director, I have the fortune of being able to look through personnel files, right? So I had to look up more on you as a coach, and reading through some of the letters from Norm and some others in just the admiration that they had for you at that time. So accolades aside, I'm very impressed. Man, what an incredible coach you were. So thank you for your leadership throughout the years and everything that you did here at Allegheny College. And even though Lana couldn't make it this evening, I know that she will soon be able to watch this video and be able to see everything that went on with this evening's festivities. So Lana, I can't thank you enough for all that you did in advancing women's athletics at Allegheny College. Your lasting influence on the lives you touched during your time at Allegheny is evident by the sheer number of people who are present here tonight in your honor. Tonight and throughout the semester, as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the passage of Title IX, I can't think of a better representative of the importance of that historic act. Through your tenacity and devotion, you helped create the Women's Keystone Conference so our women's teams could have a robust schedule against like institutions. Your involvement in the Association of Intercollegiate Athletics for Women helped to raise the popularity of women's collegiate athletics to the point the NCAA had to take notice and begin sponsoring championship opportunities for women's athletic teams. I had the opportunity a few weeks ago to have a wonderful phone conversation with Lana. in which we talked about her trailblazing efforts. She expressed to me that she often wondered what some may have thought of her as she blazed that trail. And I told her, who cares? It had to be done. Lana, thank you for leading that charge. We have all benefited because of it. Thank you, Lana. And now I'm going to turn it back over to our MC, Sean King, for tonight's induction ceremony, what we all been waiting for.
Need to find my place again. Lana Lesh can be remembered not just as a successful coach at Allegheny College, but a true trailblazer that helped lay the foundation and pave the way for women to not only have opportunities, but to excel. Lesh was hired by the college as an assistant professor of physical education during the 72-73 school year, shortly after the passing of Title IX. Part of her charge at the time was to organize a program of women's intercollegiate sports at Allegheny. In 1974-75, she led the women's varsity tennis team to a 5-4 record and saw softball added to the offerings for women. The following year, the first official competition schedules for women's basketball, volleyball, tennis, and swimming and diving were developed. It was also during the 75-76 year that Lesh submitted documentation on structure and policies for women's athletics at Allegheny and served as a founding administrator for the Women's Keystone Conference. From that point forward, Lesh became known as the Director of Women's Athletics and saw Allegheny claim WKC titles in tennis and basketball while sending 7 qualifiers to the Eastern Association of Intercollegiate Athletics for Women championships. By 1979-80, Lesh was promoted to Associate Director of Athletics, and Allegheny participated in 6 women's varsity sports before women's cross country was elevated at Lesh's behest in 1980-81. As Bill mentioned, Lana was unable to join us this evening, but at this time, I'd like to welcome to the stage Kathy Knight, a former coach at Allegheny who helped spearhead Lana's nomination for the Hall of Fame, along with Tom and Sue Shirley, who are here this evening as well. Thank you for making sure that Lana was represented this evening with a great nomination.
Me?
Seems like a really good time to let all of our inductees know you're going to go that way. You're going to receive your plaque from Bill Ross and Ron Cole, president of Allegheny.
Well, I'm traveling to Florida next month to deliver this to Lana. She really is very, very disappointed she couldn't be here. She's fine. She's well. She's been texting me all day and just had a family emergency and couldn't be with us. But I have her words. And Lana has lots to share with us, a little bit of what we heard from Bill. But I do want to mention our nominating team, all Allegheny alumni, Sue, Tom, Karen, Smitty, and my colleague, Roseanne Lyle. I was in Montgomery earlier. We had shared a office up in the tower, and it's still there. And the dance studio where Roseanne had her classes is still there and brings back a lot of memories. So thank you. These are Lana's words. Greetings from Florida. I regret that I could not be with you tonight to celebrate this honor, especially since this is the 50th anniversary of Title IX and 50 years since I arrived on campus in 1972. I'm humbled, grateful for this honor, and I would like to start by congratulating tonight's inductees for their supporters and friends and offer my gratitude to the Hall of Fame committee. I know there are student athletes and coaches present tonight who are among the first contributors to and beneficiaries of the implementation of Title IX at Allegheny. We had skilled and motivated coaches in the early days of women's athletics at Allegheny, and I would like to recognize them. Basketball and volleyball coach Lee Eschenheimer, and shortly after that, Beth Racine was our basketball coach. Women's and men's volleyball and track and field coach Kathy Knight. And swimming and diving coach Roseanne Lyle. Would you stand up, Roseanne? Thank you. Thank you. I would also like to recognize tennis assistant coaches Art Benson. Where's Art? He was with Lana way back when. And Connie Reisling. And men's athletic director Norm Sundstrom, who became a supporter, friend, and ally. Lana. In an effort to express what this honor means to me, I'd like to share a quote from Rumi. Let yourself be drawn by the strongest pull of that which you truly love. For me, my love of play, sports, and athletic competition was at the heart of my professional career. And to be acknowledged for something that I truly loved is extraordinary. My journey started at the University of New Hampshire, where I was exposed to what Title IX might bring and to some of the leadership and philosophies that would guide the new growth of women's athletics. Those early discussions included the place of athletics in an academic institution, and that academics came before athletics and other extracurricular activities. This was the pervasive philosophy of Allegheny, an institution with a high academic reputation and excellent student achievements and successes, with a Division III mindset, valuing the whole student-athlete's college experience, all of which were the building blocks of the new Association of Intercollegiate Athletics for Women, the AIAW, which aimed to be the counterpart to the men's NCAA. Lana says, I joined the faculty at Allegheny as an assistant professor of physical education in 1972, shortly after the passing of Title IX. I was hired to develop an official organized intercollegiate sports program for women. Like many other institutions, there were no teams organized into a conference, like the men's sports had. There was no regular schedule. We had no transportation, no awards, very little college recognition, many times no uniforms, and the women athletes, we had no place to practice. When Title IX passed in 1972, requiring fair and equal treatment of the sexes in all areas, including athletics, discrimination was the status quo. Budgets for women's programs were only about 1% of total athletic budgets. The same year, Roseanne Lyle to coach the first women's swimming and diving team, adding to the already existing sports of tennis and basketball. Coach Lyle wasted no time as practices began in the winter of '72. In a campus article of February 1973, featured the Allegheny ladies swimming team, and the byline was, "A new chapter has recently opened for the women's intercollegiate athletic program at Allegheny College with the addition of swimming to Lady Gators' sports schedule." Shortly thereafter, volleyball, women's and men's, and track and field, and men's cross country were added. Beth Racine was hired to coach basketball and softball, while purposes and policies for the women's athletic department was developed and approved. And by the way, the men's volleyball team was supported and partially funded by the women's athletic program, which provided a qualified coach who was a woman. It was me. The budget was minimal, and we should have brought the uniforms, Tom. Hand-me-downs from the basketball team. And, but we had a blast. The skill level was high. The team had a fan following, and we were playing Division I and II schools, and we learned a lot, and I think the men on the team had an extraordinary experience. A minor sport had some visibility. This was the spirit of Title IX. This showed Allegheny's commitment to following the guidelines and the spirit of Title IX and the implementation with fairness, the directives of the law. Lana goes on, I wrote the policies and procedures which allowed Allegheny to take the lead in the first athletic conference for women in the region. The Women's Keystone Conference included 8 Division III colleges in or near Western Pennsylvania. Allegheny achieved success in the WKC with its tennis team being the first championship for a women's team in Allegheny, followed soon by basketball and volleyball. In 1975-76, 7 women's swimming and diving team athletes qualified for the Eastern AIAW Regional Championship competition at the University of Pittsburgh. During this time frame of 72 to 81, I was appointed the first women's athletic director. Allegheny joined the AIAW and appointed me as the AIAW voting representative. And Allegheny hosted the first AIAW National Division III Women's Swimming and Diving Championship, hosting 900 2- and 4-year member institutions, bringing positive national recognition to the school and the athletic program. And it was during the time when the students were off campus, back when we were in, quarters? Were we in quarters then? Trimesters. And so staff, we sure scrambled to try to get 900 people in that little building. I want to share, Lana wants to share some of the comments from some of the athletes in those early days about the benefits of sports for women. I was encouraged to develop a positive self-image and to recognize the connection of mind and body in pursuing excellence in sports and in life. I developed self-confidence and self-discipline. My highest grades were earned when I was in my sport. Time spent on my team was one of the most memorable and meaningful experiences at Allegheny. I've used skills throughout that I learned in my athletics in many ways during my 38 years as a school psychologist. And a comment from one of the men who was coached by a woman, I never really knew I was interested in any sport except soccer and maybe kicking for the football team. But after playing intramural volleyball, that changed me. I became interested and for a couple of wonderful years played competitive level volleyball. Allegheny continues to post winning finishes in the NCAC and PAC. So yes, Title IX has resulted in many positive outcomes to date. And we know there's a long way to go. In 2022, in Division III, still has the largest participation gap between men and women with respect to opportunities, funding, and salaries. In fact, you're going to love this. Google reports that at Allegheny College in 2022, women's coaches earn 83% of what the men do. Then there are the unresolved concerns related to disabled athletes, gender inequality, ethnic diversity and cultural differences in athletes living in poverty that remain to be satisfactorily and inclusively addressed. Lana says, I'd like to finish with this thought. Each of us can help move the needle further toward equality, men and women. Know and pursue your rights for equity. Take action when you notice something just doesn't feel right. Ask questions. Work to change it. We all need to work together to keep the spirit of Title IX active. All all of us here tonight know the deep fulfillment we get when we are representing our institutions. Teammates, coaches, supporters, family. Help Allegheny be that school that meets true equity and stay true to the path for opportunity and equality for all. Thank you, Allegheny, for this very meaningful honor, and happy birthday to Title IX. In gratitude, Lana Lesh. Thank you.
Kathy, thank you for being here, for making Lana's words heard, and just for all you've done for Allegheny as well. Thank you. Our second inductee is John Wiltshire. John was the first coach of the women's soccer program at Allegheny when it began in 1985. He coached until 1997 and guided the Gators to a record of 157, 81, and 16 during his 13-year tenure, leaving him to this day as the winningest coach in program history. In total, Wiltshire's teams won 5 North Coast Athletic Conference championships during that stretch and finished second twice, compiling a 77-23-8 mark in league play. In all, his teams finished the season ranked in the top 20 in the nation 4 times and ranked regionally following 8 seasons. As much success as his teams enjoyed, Wiltshire's players also pulled in numerous accolades through the years. The NCAC recognized 87 of his players with all-conference honors, while 31 players received all-region awards and 8 players earned a total of 12 All-America laurels. Wiltshire also had 2 players earn academic All-American status during their careers. Wiltshire was also the first women's lacrosse coach at Allegheny, guiding that program from its inception in 1994 until 1998. During his time as coach, the Gators won 18 games and received 10 all-conference honors. He also spent time in the role of head wrestling coach for a brief period when an unexpected vacancy prompted him to step in. Didn't have the chance to know John Wiltshire, but from everything I've seen and heard, that's the type of person that he was. He was going to step up and fill in wherever he was needed for the good of the order. Coach Wiltshire is being inducted posthumously, having passed away on April 29th, 2021. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge his wife, Christine, and other family members that are with us today. Thank you. And I'd also like to welcome his son, Ron, to the stage to accept this honor on behalf of his father.
My name is Ron Wiltshire. I'm John's oldest son. On behalf of myself and our entire family, I'd like to congratulate all the coaches and athletes on their Hall of Fame induction. What an incredible and wonderful honor it is. Attending this evening is my mother, Christine, my sister, Sandy Hanna, and her husband, Chuck Smith, my sister, Heather Knuth, we want to thank the Hall of Fame Selection Committee for honoring my dad this evening. My dad coached his whole life. I was 4 years old at Tidiute High School, sitting on the end of a basketball bench with a little bulldog sweater on. Team wasn't very good, but we knew Dad was going to teach math and coach. He coached soccer, basketball, wrestling, and football at the high school level. He produced some very successful teams at Mount Lebanon High School. District 7 WPIAL championships, state championship teams, players that went on to gain incredible recognition. And it was just a thread in his life that he loved. He always wanted to coach at the collegiate level. And when he came to Allegheny College in 1985 to become the first women's coach, it was the year that the women's soccer program went from being a club sport to becoming a varsity sport. Dad was sort of a groundbreaker. He was the first president for the PA West Soccer Association. They went from running a soccer association out of the basement of our house with little dittoed cards that had carbon copies and such, to becoming the first men's coach. He started the high school soccer program at Mount Lebanon in 1972. He comes here to Allegheny College and becomes the first coach in a groundbreaking experience for the women's soccer team as well as the women's lacrosse program. So he did what he loved, and that was to coach. Although he did teach math, I knew coaching was really way ahead of the math program, so he loved it. He loved it. He made lifelong friends during his time here at Allegheny. Meeting Coach Marty Goldberg and his wife Rita in that first year, and believe it or not, he came up by himself. My mom stayed in Pittsburgh, and his first roommate was Coach Jeff Groff. They spent the year together, Dad getting his feet wet at Allegheny and sorting life out as a college coach. Dad served as the first head coach for the women's lacrosse team. As Sean mentioned, for 5 seasons. He served as the first women's soccer coach at Allegheny for 13 seasons, and stepped into one of his great passions was the wrestling program. He had coached wrestling at the junior high levels in Mount Lebanon, and there was some turnover here at Allegheny, and the program looked like it might have to fold if they couldn't find someone to get involved, and he stepped right up and said, hey, don't want that to happen for these boys. So again, really a credit to his passion and compassion. He was fortunate to coach some very wonderful teams and players that went on to receive recognition at the conference, regional, and national levels. But you know what? Most important were the relationships he built. He was all about that. He was going to have an impact in your life to try to make you grow as a person, not only as a player. My mom speaks so fondly of the many bus rides that she got to spend learning to meet and grow with the players as they traveled to the away contests. Spending time with those players, my mom and Dad loved the wedding invitations, the birth announcements, the Christmas cards that they received as players move forward in their life. Dad truly loved his time here at Allegheny. I believe it was his happiest coaching experience. I know he's looking down on us tonight with a big smile on his face, and he would say what he always said to all of us growing up: follow your passion. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank everybody for this award this evening. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it.
Thank you, of course. It's 2022, so naturally the way that I first made contact with the Wiltshire family to let them know about this was I DM'd Ron on Twitter. So just that was how that started. So Real 2022 story. Our third inductee has won more games than anyone else in a men's sport in Allegheny history, amassing 377 victories in 13 seasons at the helm of the baseball program. His squads won 30 or more games in 5 years, including 4 of his last 5 campaigns in Meadville. The 1997 team that finished 40-8 still holds the program's record for wins in a season. His 13-year span is one of the finest in Division III history. During his time, Rick Crehan earned 3 North Coast Athletic Conference Coach of the Year awards, and his program produced 8 All-Americans, 31 All-Region picks, 5 of the program's 6 NCAC Player of the Year, 3 Pitchers of the Year, and a total of 98 All-NCAC honorees in 13 seasons. Additionally, more than 10 of his players went on to sign professional baseball contracts. Crehan also served as Allegheny's Director of Athletics for 12 years, leading the department during a very successful time, including the 1990 Football National Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please join me in welcoming Dr. Rick Crehan.
Well, Coach Ross, when you said you went in and looked at my personnel file, I started to panic over here. I made a huge mistake by not shredding all those materials before I left. I'd like to congratulate all the inductees this evening. Mrs. Wilcher, John and I came here about the same time. We worked together very closely. In fact, I don't know if you remember or not, but I helped him, assisted him for 2 years. 2 of the greatest years, I think, in his time here at Allegheny. It was the time when he had Georgianne Moran and Nellie Springer, 2, I think, the finest women's athletes that I have ever seen on the field. And it was an honor to be able to work with him, and it's an honor to be inducted in the same year as him. I thank you, and God bless you and your family. Where's Ashley at, being inducted? Ashley. I am very proud to see you go in this evening. As athletic director, I was able to start the women's lacrosse program here. We elevated from a club team to women's intercollegiate, and that brought us to 10-10 in men's sports offered and women's sports to achieve the perfect balance in gender equity. And Michelle, where is Michelle? Michelle, I had the honor and privilege to watch you in the swimming pool. And I can tell you that your coach, Coach Erdos, produced more All-Americans at this institution than all of us that worked at that period of time combined. And I believe your coach's time is coming, that he belongs in this Hall of Fame as well. Congratulations to you, Michelle. I want to begin by thanking my Lord Jesus Christ, who's my Savior, for the blessings in my life. I want to recognize this evening family members that are here with me to begin my remarks. My wife, Julie, is here with me tonight. My 3 beautiful daughters, Tara, Darcy, and Colleen. my son-in-law, Tony, two of my beautiful grandchildren, Ralston and little Ricky, are here with me. My brother, Denny, my brother, Kenny, my sister, Kathleen, my sister-in-law, Linda, my sister-in-law, Amy, my wonderful nephews and nieces, Brent, Brianna, Kenzie, are here with me this evening. And of course, my nephew, Kevin, who's a 1997 graduate, all-conference baseball player here, played on my final team that I was honored to coach. And so I thank you all for taking the time to come here to see your brother, your dad. I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee. It's been a long time. Tara and Darcy and Colleen, I'd like to also say thank you to you and your mom for the sacrifices that you made and the time that you gave away so that I could coach other people's children. And I love you. I want to thank my mom and dad, who are in heaven, who gave me the skills and the talent and the commitment to make a difference in your life. My father was a World War II hero. He was decorated with a Bronze Star and a Silver Star, 2 Purple Hearts, served our country, came back and became a messenger boy for a bank. And at the end of his time, he was the president and chair of the board of directors of that bank, from messenger boy to bank president. What a model to follow, huh? Oh, Norm Sundstrom. This would not be possible for me to be standing here tonight if Norm Sundstrom wouldn't have taken a chance on a high school baseball coach that was 29 years old. Norm, truly the patriarch of Allegheny athletics and will always be remembered as such. To the coaches that I had the honor to work with on the baseball field, Jeff Groff, who couldn't be here this evening, Mike Ferris, that's here, Jimmy Tex Houston, and of course Coach Monge. I thank all of you for what you did to make our program what it was. I want to thank Jamie Plunkett and Kathy Madigan, two of the best colleagues and trainers that anybody could possibly have, that were always by my side. And unsung heroes like Joe Tartaglione, commonly referred to as Joe T, and Jack Steiger and Jack McCrillis, who helped us so much along the way. I want to thank all of the senior administrators, along with the athletic staff that I had the pleasure to work with. Dan Sullivan was an outstanding university president. To this day remains a good friend of mine. Provost Andy Ford, Provost and Dean of the college Jim Bullman, Provost and Dean of the college Bruce Smith, all became my bosses, and they were absolutely wonderful people to be able to report to, and it was an honor to work with them. My greatest and deepest appreciation goes to the amazing student athletes that played baseball here and that sacrificed to make our program nationally ranked year after year after year. Meadville is the town where my children grew up and were raised. But they grew up around the baseball team and the baseball field. And I think they have tons of memories of their childhood growing up here. Tara was, she came to my wife and myself at the time and said, "Daddy, I really want to be Batgirl." And I said, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. So she begged and said, please, can I be the Batgirl? So I sat her down and I said, Tara, you can be the Batgirl, but I have to tell you something. Those boys on the team, when they strike out or make an error and they come back to the dugout, they use really bad language. And I don't want you repeating that kind of language if you're going to do this. And she's like, okay. So her first game that she's Batgirl, she went home and she tells her mother, she said, Mommy, those boys, they didn't say anything bad, but Daddy, he used every cuss word and the really bad ones. and Darcy, my second child, she rode on the bus to almost all of my away games. She went to Florida with me. And her friend would travel to Florida on the bus. And their favorite thing was to rank and rate the baseball players according to how cute they were. That Michael Parada, he's so cute. You could hear them. And to get daddy time, they would hang out in the locker room up at the stadium. They'd play hide and seek. They used the lockers for Barbie houses. And that's how they spent their time with Dad, playing hide and seek with me while I made recruiting calls. Now, I once heard Norm Sundstrom say to a great colleague of ours at the time, who started to climb the ladder in administration and higher education. And Norm said to this particular fellow, I don't want you to ever forget where you came from. As I said, I overheard that conversation, and it never left me. So after I left Allegheny College, I became an assistant vice president at Washington and Jefferson. I became the executive vice president at Adrian College in Michigan. And then I had the highest honor to become the president of Alderson Broaddus University. There were only two baseball coaches in the United States that went on to become a university president, and I was one of those two. The last athletic director that I had the privilege to work with was my brother Dennis. And I think with Denny is here tonight, and he would vouch to Coach Sundstrom, that I never forgot where I came from. Now, Mr. President, President Cole, you need to understand, during my era, the iconic figures that I looked up to as baseball coaches. Billy Martin from the New York Yankees. Billy Martin was known for kicking dirt all over the umpires. He had a volatile temper. Earl Weaver, the Baltimore Orioles. Earl Weaver once got so mad, Mr. President, that he took first base out of its peg, ran into the dugout, down into the runway, and into the locker room, and refused to give first base back when he was ejected from a game. Augie Garrido, famous college coach, he took a bucket of Gatorade, brought it to home plate, and dumped it all over home plate and washed it off with a rag, handed his glasses to the umpire on his way out from getting kicked out. This is why I was sweating what Bill Ross said about those files. Because, Mr. President, that was the era that I grew up in, you may have heard a story or two about my antics as the baseball coach here. Why, these are tall tales. There may be a story out there, Mr. President, that I once peppered the infield at the College of Wooster with buckets and buckets of baseballs, threw all the bats out of the dugout onto the field, all the batting helmets, all the catcher's gear, on my way to being ejected. That's alleged. I just want you to know. That's an alleged story. Or perhaps you may have heard, allegedly, that I was thrown out of a baseball game before the first pitch. The only coach in the country to have had that happen, allegedly. Or you may possibly heard that the North Coast Athletic Conference Championship held here in Meadville on the Allegheny campus, that I was summarily booted out of the game and had to coach the game with a walkie-talkie from myself to Jamie Plunkett, looking out at the windows of the locker room. Mr. President, those are tall tales. Don't believe those lies. But honestly, Mr. President, what you can believe, you can believe this. While I was the baseball coach at Allegheny College, we had recruiting goals, and we exceeded, me and my coaching staff, every goal that was ever set for us every single year. My teams retained at a 90% retention rate and graduated at over a 90% graduation rate. We had the highest men's team GPA almost every year that I coached. We could never catch those women's teams, but for the men's teams, we were the highest. Those are facts, and those are what I'm most proud of. The players that played for me, they have gone on to become doctors and lawyers and PhDs and corporate executives and entrepreneurs, educators, community leaders, husbands and fathers, and that's what I'm most proud of. The 377 wins, I look back and I think, of all those games, which one was the greatest of them all? Which one was the most memorable? And for me, it would have had to been in 1989. We were playing Methodist College in North Carolina. They were the number 1 ranked team in the nation. The way they did it back then was number 1 played 24, and number 2 played 23, and on and on. And so if they were number 1, guess what we were? We were number 24. We were sent to North Carolina to get slaughtered. But along the way, that was the single greatest win in the program history, dumping Methodist College, who I believe hadn't lost a game, when we went down and beat them in front of a sold-out crowd on their field and knocked them out of the regionals of the College World Series. The 1997 team, as Sean said, 40 wins. But here's the thing, folks. The NCAA allowed us to play 36 games. So you figure that out. How did we win 40 games in a 36-game schedule? That was one of the greatest teams ever assembled at this institution, and that team belongs in the Hall of Fame. In 1993, we went 34-2, just like Methodist that we had beaten a few years earlier. That team achieved the highest national ranking in program's history. The team, though, that I want to mention before I leave stage is the 1985 team. That was my first year. So naturally, your first year is near and dear to your heart. Norm will remember that was the first year of the North Coast Athletic Conference. And I inherited a team that had finished in last place 3 years in a row. Norm gave me a piece of advice, and another colleague gave me a piece of advice as I started that season. Norm's advice I took to heart. The other one I completely ignored. Norm's advice to me was, prior to my being hired, he said, you know, the kids that you've inherited, they were in my office constantly complaining about their coaching situation here. And they gripe, they moan, they groan, they point fingers, they blame. You got to toughen them up. So I started that year with 31 players on the roster. We were on a 3-term calendar back then, and we practiced at 6 o'clock in the morning every day. My rule was this: you miss one practice, you're going to be in here in the morning and help me set up the gym for practice. You miss a second time, you're in the early morning track club and you're going to run for 30 minutes before practice starts. You miss a third time, you're suspended from the first game. And if you miss a fourth, you're off the team. You're gone. I don't want you. By the end of spring training, ready to break and go to Florida on our southern trip, I was down to 20 players. I kicked off 1/3 of the team that lacked a commitment. It got so dire that the captains of the team came to me and they said, Coach, we're not going to have a team if you keep booting players off. My response to them was, it takes 9 players to field a baseball team, and I will train all 9 of you how to pitch if I have to. But we will go south with 9, but we will have 9 committed players. So when Norm told me to toughen them up, I did. The other advice that I ignored from a colleague who said, I don't understand why you're here. There's no commitment to baseball at this institution. You have no dugouts. You have no outfield fence. You have no backstop. You have no scoreboard. You have nothing. You get 120 inches of snow here. The high school baseball stinks. You'll never be able to recruit a soul here that's going to be any good to play this game. If you want to be a baseball coach, go south. Get out of here. That was the best advice I never listened to. That year, with that group of kids, we won 29 games and lost 17, and we were the first men's program to be invited to the NCAA national tournament. This campus was so electrified and it's excited. The day that we left to go to Naperville, Illinois, suburbs of Chicago, to play in the first round of the regionals of the College World Series, all 3 networks from Erie, ABC, NBC, CBS, came to see us off on the bus. And Norm Sundstrom, only the way Norm Sundstrom could possibly be, he was so happy. He was there with the cameras and interviewed with us. But just as Jamie Plunkett and I were about to get on the bus, Norm pulled me aside, and he had this way of squeezing you right here on the back of your shoulder to almost buckle your knees. Norm said, Rick, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of the team. I want you to take the team to see a Chicago Cubs game, but I have to tell you something. You played the entire season with an ineligible athlete, and you may have to forfeit all your games. But go and have a good time. I don't know if Norm remembers that or not, but that's what happened. So we came back from that trip, and Norm used to have this thing called the All Sports Banquet. Okay, you probably remember that. And Norm was still excited about what happened with us, and he was going on and on about the baseball team, all the records that we set. He's up on the stage, and he's like, Rick Crehan, he set a school record in his rookie year for wins. 29 wins, school record. Unbelievable. Let's give this guy a great round of applause, and everybody's clapping except one guy. One guy. And to my shock and amazement, he stands up and he walks right to the podium. His name was Bob Garbark, legendary baseball coach of 32 years. And Garby walked to the podium, nudged Norm to the side, and he said, Coach Sundstrom, yes, it is true that Rick Crehan set a record this year with the 29 wins. But I want everybody out here to know he also set the record for losses in a season. We lost 17 games that year. I had to go look it up. We set both records, wins and losses, in the same season. And I think that was Garby's way of keeping Rick Crehan humble. So I'd like to finish by saying this, if you would honor me, please. If there are any parents here this evening that had a son or a daughter that played for me at Allegheny, would you please stand and stay standing for a moment? If there are any colleagues that are here this evening that worked with me, coached alongside with me at this wonderful institution, would you please stand and stay standing? Any colleagues who have ever worked with me here, please stand. If there are any student athletes that are here this evening that I had the honor to coach, would you please stand? It is because of you folks that I am here this evening. I cannot thank you enough as parents, as colleagues, and as student athletes. I love all of you. May God bless you all, and thank you very much.
Our current baseball coach, Brandon Crum, is in attendance tonight. So, Coach Crum, I just want you to forget everything that Coach Crehan said about the throwing of equipment onto the field and all of the allegedly parts you can forget about. The winning part, you're on your way. I appreciate everything you're doing. Greg Stone was a two-time All-American golfer for the Gators and led Allegheny to its first President's Athletic Conference team championship in 11 years as a sophomore in 1976. After pacing the Gators to the title as a sophomore, he returned to claim first-team All-PAC laurels as a junior en route to leading Allegheny to its first NCAA championship appearance in 1977. He followed his All-America showing in 77, the first such honor for an Allegheny golfer, with another All-America honor as a senior in 1978. In those 2 years, the Gators finished 4th and 2nd in the nation, respectively. A 4-year letter winner, Stone helped begin a stretch of 30 straight years of NCAA championships appearances for Allegheny, one of the most of all time. Please join me in a round of applause as we welcome 1978 Allegheny graduate Greg Stone to the podium.
Hello, everybody. First of all, I didn't know you had to give a speech, so thank you, Norm, for the advice on this. But anyways, there's only 2 subjects I've been bad at in my life. In high school, it was wood shop. I compensated for that. I own 6 lumber yards now. But in college, it was public speaking. I never got any better at that. But as far as being the student athlete, if you call a 3.0 average being a student, and golf being an athlete, well, I guess I had those under my tabs too. But anyways, I got to say one thing, that I had the greatest college golf coach of all time in Norm Sundstrom, the greatest teammates. I had the best time of my life at Allegheny College. I still miss the Sigma Alpha Epsilon house. It's closed down lately, but the greatest time of my life was at Allegheny College, and that's the end of my speech. Public speaking has never gotten any better for me. Thank you.
If everyone could just turn to that page in the program that has that picture of Mr. Stone, and then look today and just compare the two, and you can double check those while we're introducing our next inductee. Ashley Rogerson was a two-sport standout for the Gators, capturing a combined 5 all North Coast Athletic Conference and all region awards between her time on the soccer and lacrosse fields. In lacrosse, she was selected to the NCAC Finals and was tabbed to the all-region first team in 2005 between a pair of second-team honors in 04 and 06. As a junior in 05, she tied for the team lead with 27 goals before helping the Gators to a then school record 9 wins and trip to the NCAC Finals in 2006. On the soccer pitch, she picked up NCAC first team and all-region laurels in 04 and 05. Her teams won nearly 50 matches in 4 years and posted an impressive 22-7-4 record in conference play. For her career, Rogerson scored 17 goals and amassed 38 career points. She was the 2006 Allegheny College Senior Achievement Award winner and was recognized as the NCAC Scholar Athlete of the Year that same year. Please join me in welcoming and congratulating 2006 Allegheny graduate, Dr. Ashley Rogerson.
Just waiting for this half of the room to really make me lose it up here. So I first want to say just thank you to Coach Wilcher and Coach Lesh for the early investment in women's sports. We've already highlighted all of their achievements, but I can say that I and a lot of my friends and teammates would not be where we are athletically and in our careers today without the work that they did early on and investing in girls and women's sports and seeing the value that we bring to collegiate sports and to the world in general. And 3 years ago, we were here celebrating Emily Deering's induction in 2019. Little did we know, about 6 months later, the whole world was going to shut right down on us. And I've had the privilege of knowing this group of women for so long now, and I gotta say, man, this happened earlier than I thought. These last 3 years, we've seen each other through this roller coaster that the world has been on, through the ups and downs of relationships and careers, marriages and divorces, moving cities, the challenge of having children, welcoming new babies, unfortunately experiencing death and near-death experiences, and just watching each other grow up into the adults that we are now. And for me, that's what D3 sports is all about. That's what sports in general are about, but especially Division III athletics. It's not about the wins and losses. I don't remember any of these goals that I scored. I don't remember. I don't even think of myself really that much of an athlete anymore. I just went for a run yesterday. My legs are killing me. So it's wonderful to relive these memories, but that's not what sports have ever been about for me. As a kid who fit in but never really felt like they belonged. found my people with you all. So thank you. Yeah. I'm honored to be a part of your group. Thank you. And it's extra special to celebrate this on the 50th anniversary of Title IX. And it's truly an honor to celebrate with all of you tonight, but I don't think that we can lose sight of the fact that our rights as women in this country are not guaranteed. I've never felt less secure, honestly, in my life than I do right now. And I pledge to my teammates, to my former coaches, the medical students who work with me, my residents, and my children, that I will never stop fighting for you all to live equally in our country. I will never not support your right to choose your own destiny and to love whoever you want. And now, the rest of this is just going to be a bunch of thank yous, because I would not be here today without all of these people. I want to thank Marty and Dwayne, my mother and father-in-law, for their constant support and love and encouragement and help with our kids when we need it, when the daycare shut down another room for COVID exposure. They were there at the drop of a hat, so thank you, especially over these last couple of years. I want to thank my brother and sister-in-law, Scott and Alex, who could not be here tonight because they just welcomed my second nephew, Max, into the world last week. And we were fortunate that this trip really worked out well and we could meet him before we came down here. I want to thank my Aunt Kay, who is here tonight with us, who drove all over upstate New York and Pennsylvania and Ohio with Amy and Wayne and Dee. And I don't think there were many games that Scott and I played that you weren't there. So thank you. I want to thank my mom and dad. I always knew that Scott and I had it good. And now as a parent myself, I don't know how you did it. You were there for everything. You missed nothing and managed to juggle careers and somehow have dinner on the table every night. I mean, Dad was just such a wonderful cook. Thank you, Mom. And finally, I want to say thank you to my favorite teammate of all, Jen Billick. I'm just kidding. My favorite teammate of all, Kelly, my wife. You were the unsung hero of our lacrosse team, and you do everything for us. And you know, whether my head is in the clouds or I feel like the world is just crumbling beneath my feet, which some days that happens, honestly, before we leave the house at 7:30 in the morning, you managed to keep our feet on solid ground, my feet on solid ground, and your patience and grace. I love you. To Tommy and Ellie, thank you for being so good during dinner tonight. I love you, buddy. Thank you.
Michelle Shanerbecker won so many All-America awards. I was running out of fingers and toes to count them when I was here, going over it. In the pool for the Gators, earning 6 awards apiece in 92 and 93 after claiming 4 in 1991. Her best individual finish at the NCAA championships came in 1992 when the then junior placed third by just under 2 seconds in the 400 individual medley with a time of 4:37.32. That same year, she also placed sixth in the 200 IM, touching the wall in 2:10.24 in the finals. As a senior in 93, Becker finished as high as sixth, shaving nearly 2 seconds off her time in the 400 IM. During her 4 years, Allegheny had one of its most successful stretches in program history, finishing fourth at the national championships in 90 and 91, before placing 11th and 9th, respectively, in 92 and 93. Not to date anyone here, but the number needed to be included to show just how impressive Michelle's career was. Even 30 years later, she still holds the Allegheny women's swimming and diving record in the 200 individual medley with a time of 2:09.12, which she recorded in 1992. Please welcome to the podium from the Allegheny class of 1993, Michelle Shaner Becker.
I will make this brief. I'll try to. So, where do I begin? I have been asking myself that question ever since I was bestowed the honor of being inducted into the Allegheny Athletic Hall of Fame. I am truly honored to be recognized and inducted into such a prestigious group. Thank you to the Hall of Fame Board and the athletic director, Bill Ross, and Sean King here at Allegheny for your time and dedication making this such a special event. Thank you to President Dr. Ron Cole and all those involved in making Allegheny such a diverse and strong educational institution demonstrating excellence all around. I realize I am 20 years late to the party for Title IX, but I am so very proud to be part of it. Thank you for the honor. I feel very blessed and grateful to be here with all of the 2022 inductees. This evening, congratulations to you all. I would not be here without the gift of family. My mom and dad for always encouraging and supporting me. Many years were spent sitting, driving to, working, swim meets. I feel very blessed my father is able to be here this evening. Thanks, Dad. I know my mother and youngest sister, Paula, who I pull daily inspiration from, are here in heart. My mom's motherly commitments never stop for any of us. I am so thankful for my siblings who have never left my side. Grateful for my sister and best friend, Maria, sitting over there. She's here to share this moment as well. My husband, Dave, and my three greatest achievements in my life are three beautiful, amazing daughters, Madison, Emma, and Caitlin. Madison could not be here as she herself has a college swim meet this evening. So apparently the apple does not fall far from the tree. I also want to bring light to my Allegheny family, teammates, and my true friend Joy, also my Theta big sister, who made the journey, and so blessed she is here to support me. And a special thank you to my coaches who guided me in and out of various bodies of water, but especially Coach Erdos, who was like a father to me here at Allegheny. He ironically began my journey with me when I was a little girl, and I just started age group swimming back in Peters Township, McMurray, Pennsylvania, and he ended my college years with me as well. We have both also coached on the same deck. So crazy how life can take you full circle. Everyone's life has special moments that are meant to be celebrated, and this is indeed a special moment to be forever remembered, and I thank you all for celebrating with me as well. For anyone who truly knows me, I am not one who likes to be in the limelight. So when I accepted this honor, my biggest fear was that I would have to indeed get it up in front of everyone and talk. I too do not love public speaking. So it is very different than talking to your swimmers at the annual banquet. So 30 years time, that's a long time. and I began cleaning out the cobwebs from the past. And I was thankful for the focused walk down memory lane. Time moves so quickly, and I appreciate the incentive provided to me through Allegheny to stop and smell the roses and to revisit many treasured individual and team moments in my time. I thoroughly enjoyed my 4 years here at Allegheny as a Gator, and I am proud to know that there are echoes of my accomplishments hanging on the walls with my All-American honors, team photographs, a 200 IM record that still remains on the record board 30 years later, and, unbeknownst to me, a Hall of Fame plaque in my honor. I am truly blessed. So, my senior quote, "Some people come into our lives and quickly go, while others leave footprints on our hearts, and we are never, ever the same." I have plenty of Gator prints on my heart, and thankful that no matter how long it has been between get-togethers or connections or communications, those feelings never fade. The family I had here at Allegheny College were and are the best. Together, we made Meadville winters feel sunny, if you can believe it, but we did have the help of tropical escapes for swimming, so Costa Rica and Fort Lauderdale, but and we pushed each other to be the best that we could be. Coach Erdos was the captain of our ship here at Allegheny. He was like a dad to all of us, and I just received a card from him the other day that filled my heart with such joy and sadness. He is currently in the fight of his life, undergoing radiation and chemotherapy for esophageal cancer. He took the time to think of me and express how saddened he was that he was not able to attend the induction this evening. He has been here for all of his athletes, and it saddened him so that he could not be here. He said he would make that up to me, and blessed my heart that he would even think of me at that time. He extended his love to all of his swimmers and wanted me to let them know that we are thought of often and always with great pride. Then at the same time, he expressed all of his heartfelt emotions towards me as a student athlete and reminded me of all the things I had accomplished in and out of the water. He was a source of strength for us here at Allegheny, and he always instilled in us IBD. That was his saying. You have to have intense burning desire. You have to have intense burning desire at anything in life if you want to succeed. And every year he succeeded as a coach and was able to make me succeed as a swimmer. Coach was always there to make us laugh even through tough sets. Coach was always there to provide comfort when we needed it. Coach was always there to push us when we thought we were done. And Coach was always there to make us the best team that we could be, and we were. I remember finishing my last 400 IM race at finals and nationals held at Emory University in Georgia, 1993. And that sounds so crazy to even say out loud. And we were so excited because we were going to Georgia, and we were getting away from Meadville. We were going south. Well, we had a horrendous ice storm, and we couldn't escape Meadville completely. And if anyone's familiar with Georgia in the winter, they have no idea what to do in an ice storm. So we basically ice skated our way to make it to the pool for nationals. The finish came at nationals, and I had placed the second highest that I had ever achieved. And I achieved my best time as a senior, which, if you know anything about the sport of swimming, it gets harder and harder every year to improve your times. And as a college athlete, to improve every single year was success to me. When I touched that wall at the finish, I had such a feeling of exhilaration and joy for what I had accomplished both mentally and physically. I had succeeded with IBD, but that moment also came with a feeling of sadness as my swimming journey had concluded. So I thought. Thankfully, that was not the end, as I was able to make my way back to the pool years later. I feel as though I am one of the fortunate ones who encountered many positive coaches and inspirational models along the way. And as a result, I've had the intense burning desire to give back to swimming what it provided me. I do this by being a coach and a role model for age group swimmers for the past 15 years, as a swim parent and coach to 3 daughters, and as a master swimmer still competing 30 years later. I was always told swimming is a lifetime sport, and I truly believe it is. The sport of swimming has never left me, and I have never left it. Fast forward 29 years from 1993, and I find myself outside the same conference meet that I used to compete in. I was thrilled to be watching the procession of athletes parade in at the conference meet this past winter to cheer on and support my daughter Madison and her team from Worcester. Sorry, Rick. but hopefully the pepper and the bats and the balls have all been picked up. It felt like it was yesterday, and as I watched the sea of purple come in from Kenyon, and they walked by, the sea of red from Denison, and they walked by, and then came my sea of gators. And a smile grew across my face, as it is now, and memories flooded my brain, and I gave out a gator cheer, and I felt a real tug on my heart, because once a gator, always a gator. So thank you again for the journey, and a moment to celebrate and remember. Have a good evening. Whoops, my things all fell down in there. Sorry about that. Thank you. Can I go off to the right? Or do you want me- Okay, all right, thank you.
Friends don't let friends go to Worcester. Emily Pfeiffer earned 3 All-America honors and 4 North Coast Athletic Conference Field Athlete of the Year awards in her time on the track for the Gators. She secured each of her All-America accolades in the triple jump, placing 4th and 6th in 2007 and 2008 at the NCAA Division III Indoor Track and Field Championships, respectively, while also jumping to an 8th place finish at the 2006 NCAA Division III Outdoor Track and Field Championships. All told, Pfeiffer claimed 13 NCAA individual championships, NCAC individual championships, having dominated the field events, notably the triple jump and long jump, which accounted for 11 of her league crowns. She also earned NCAC titles in the heptathlon in 2006 and 2007. At the conclusion of her senior year, Pfeiffer was named the Allegheny College Senior Achievement Award winner. A 2008 Allegheny graduate, please welcome Dr. Emily Pfeiffer.
Good evening, everyone. So I think I'm the only thing standing between you and the rest of your evening. So I'll try to keep this snappy. So thank you to the Hall of Fame committee. Congratulations, fellow Hall of Famers. I am humbled by this honor. And I also wanted to say thank you to my parents who are watching, my litter of children currently. And my husband, Andy, my friends, my coaches, Coach Ross, and my teammates. And so what do I say about myself? I can't really say anything about myself because my performances at Allegheny were just an extension of the culture of the track team. And so I'm going to talk about the culture, circa 2008, right? And I'm going to talk about 3 things about the culture. The first thing was it was a community. And so you arrive on campus when you're 18, alone, you know no one. But you're on the track team, and there was an automatic place for me. And so you start going to practices, you talk about classes together, you start running into the hard things. Right, when you're 18 and you're on your own for the first time, and the only people you know are your teammates, and that makes those teammates become friends. And so they're your friends now, so they become your roommates the next year in the dorm. And you become closer, you go through some harder times, you go through some fights. But you always come back, and then you become housemates, and that's when you're chosen family. And so through team dinners, through familiar faces in classes, through Tuesday night family meals, through everything, these people were there for me, and I hope I was there for them. And so I learned how to create community from this team culture. And I've brought that forward, and I think all of us have. I still talk to these people every day. We have a group chat. Talk about everything, right? From celebrity gossip to navigating relationships, to ethical considerations at work. These are people that are with me for life, and they're my chosen family. So that was the first one, was I learned how to create community through our team culture. Second thing was strength comes from balance, and that's part of being at a D3 school, right? We are D3 athletes, and so we are not one-dimensional. We've got a lot of strengths to bring to the table. And so I can remember when we switched from static stretching to dynamic warm-ups. And if you're not familiar with dynamic warm-ups, you're moving the whole time. It is a workout in itself, and I can remember at the end of it, like, we have to do a workout now? I thought that was just warm-up? But the point of that was to develop balance. And so that strength through balance is something that, stretch to what we ate too, right? So sometimes we're talking about we got to eat the right things, protein and iron to prevent anemia. But that balance was also cooking a pan of brownies, and everyone gets a fork out of the drawer, and you eat them at the coffee table in front of Wheel of Fortune. It's all about balance. And, so I brought that forward to my life today as a parent, balancing work and family, balancing fun with the less fun parts of life. That's just part of growing up. But it made me just a much better person, balancing physical and mental health. And so the third thing, right, that the culture of the track team taught me was leadership. And so sometimes leadership means being really vocal, walking people through a practice. Other times that's through service and lowering yourself, to just raise everyone else up. Sometimes that means, being second, right? Because you push that first place person that much further. And so I think, again, about these friends, this chosen family of mine. And I think about how we're leaders at work. We're scientists, we're project managers, we're statisticians, we're attorneys, we're veterinarians. We're doing all these things, right? But it all started here at Allegheny through that team. And so I guess I would just close that I am so grateful to be taking these lessons from that team culture of the track team here. And I'm grateful to all of you in this room for being here tonight, and I am humbled by this honor. So please join me in congratulating the rest of the Hall of Famers, and have a lovely evening.
Slightly little bit more left. Sorry about that. At this time, I'd like to welcome the president of Allegheny College, Dr. Ron Cole, for the official enshrinement and a few remarks. And then I will be back on the microphone, so don't leave just yet.
Emily, that was a nice try. So good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. It is wonderful to have everyone together on campus, celebrating not only Blue and Gold Weekend, but the accomplishments of some of our most successful student athletes and coaches. The legacies of our inductees, including pioneering work for equality in support of Title IX, is absolutely inspirational and represents the Allegheny that gives me pride. Now, yesterday, I decided during the afternoon to, as the sun was starting to break through the rain clouds, which are pretty rare in Meadville, you know, I took a stroll up to Robertson Field to watch a bit of football practice. And I was honored when Coach Nagy called the team over, a little embarrassed, but honored, and gave me a chance to introduce myself and meet the team. When I looked out at the faces of that team, I saw dedication and commitment and enthusiasm, that IBD that Michelle described, that was truly inspirational to me, inspiring me to serve Allegheny students with the best possible education and student experience, of which Allegheny athletics is absolutely so important, as witnessed here tonight. I'm also inspired and excited by the relaunch of the Golden Gator Club, and I want to thank Joe Musgrove for serving as president and for all those who've been instrumental in reestablishing this important organization to support Allegheny athletics. Joe, I joined the Gator Club, the Golden Gator Club, and I look forward to seeing this group grow. As you may know, the paint is still kind of wet on my nameplate as president, but I know Allegheny and I believe in Allegheny. My commitment to this amazing institution runs deep. As a student and a proud alum from the class of 1987, as a longtime member of the faculty, and recently as provost and dean of the college, my passion and love for Allegheny has only grown. I'm honored to serve as president, and it's now my privilege this evening to enshrine the declaration for our Hall of Fame inductees. At this time, I ask that each of our honorees please come forward and face the audience for the official enshrinement declaration. Be it known that on this, the 23rd of September, in the year 2022, we are gathered in the city of Meadville, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to enshrine Lorna Lesh, the late John Wilcher, Rick Crehan, Greg Stone, Ashley Rogerson, Michelle Shaner Becker, and Emily Pfeiffer into the Allegheny College Athletic Hall of Fame. This action publicly proclaims those principles and values inherent in and enriched by the Allegheny experience as exemplified in the lives and careers of the aforesaid individuals. They, by this election, bring honor not only to themselves, but also to their alma mater. May their accomplishments here recognized serve as a lasting challenge for future generations to discover the best that lies within their hearts and minds, and through disciplined pursuit, achieve excellence of the highest order. I hereby declare that these individuals are now enshrined as members of the Allegheny College Athletic Hall of Fame. Please congratulate them.